Go inside the Crimson Tide with your hosts Rodney Orr and Gary Harris, keeping you informed on everything Alabama. And now, Tider Insider TV.
And good evening, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Tider Insider TV alongside Rodney Orr from TiderInsider.com. I'm Gary Harris, back with you after a week off. Vacation has come and gone. It's good to be back. Once again, our program being brought to you by Buffalo Rock Bottling Company. Bottlers of great drinks like Diet Pepsi Wild Cherry. I'll tell you what, Rod, I'm going to have to come down just a little bit. Let's see here. There we go. Sitting a little too high. Feel a little high and mighty after coming off vacation. Remember to pick up some great Pepsi products the next time you're at your local grocery store. And now we're back on the same level. And we've said it before, but you can never have enough depth in college football. And Nick Saban, always looking for depth, especially at a critical position like linebacker. It comes in handy in situations like this. Incoming five-star linebacker Lyndell Mack Wilson underwent surgery this morning to repair a torn meniscus. It's the second surgery for the Montgomery Carver product in the last 3 months. He tore his labrum in the spring. Wilson was one of the commitments on National Signing Day that pushed Alabama into the top spot in the national recruiting rankings. Now it looks like he'll most likely, Rodney, sit out the season. Of course, the Tide lost some key players from the linebacking core from a year ago. Reggie Ragland, Dylan Lee, Denzel Duvall. You know, not a lot of freshmen play for Alabama, but some do. This was a guy who potentially could have got onto the field. What does this do for depth at the linebacking position heading into the fall?
Well, I think when you look at him, first of all, it's the double injuries there really kind of maybe set him behind in terms of the summer progress that he could have made. But, you know, I think probably Lyndell Mack Wilson would have been working at inside linebacker. You've got Reuben Foster, Sean Dion Hamilton, Keith Holcomb, Rashawn Evans, obviously, the standout in the spring. Adonis Thomas is a young redshirt freshman. Josh McMillan's a young redshirt freshman. And another guy that's a true freshman, we've talked about him many times from Gordo, Ben Davis. Now, again, I'm not really sure exactly where they plan to use Mack Wilson, but when you look at him, Gary, there's a lot of people that felt like he would probably play on the inside. And if he did, I think right now, it's not that Alabama has great depth or a lot of experience, but I think they can get by.
Well, you know what would help Saban this year at the linebacking position? A return of C.J. Mosley to the capstone. The former All-American linebacker was back in his home state for the Get Fit 2 football camp this past weekend. Theodore High School played host to over 200 kids as Mosley and his former Alabama teammate A.J. McCarron worked on drills and conditioning with the future football hopefuls. The kids were young, mostly 5 to 14 years old, and Mosley said that's a big difference in terms of getting involved in football from when he was growing up.
Back when I did, you know, it was all about going to the high school camps, and nowadays you got all these youth camps to help you build up. So, you know, you're pretty much like an all-pro camp person once you get to high school.
And former Alabama safety Sean Burgess-Becker is transferring to Central Florida. Burgess-Becker announced his decision to transfer in early June after playing limited minutes as a freshman. He'll have to sit out next season, but could be a good player for them in the future. Another safety, Marie Smith, is also leaving the Crimson Tide as a graduate transfer. A little bit of a surprise there with Marie Smith. Well, the Crimson Tide received a commitment for the 2017 season this past week. Thomas Fletcher, a long snapper out of IMG Academy in Florida, will join an already impressive kicking unit. Fletcher is the #2 long snapper in the country, according to 247sports.com. I've seen some other people say that he is the #1 snapper, and he'll snap the ball, Rodney, to one of the best kickers in the country. Brandon Ruiz out of Arizona committed to the Tide 3 weeks ago. Of course, Alabama has a walk-on coming in this year as well. Mitchell Wasson out of Lassiter High School in Marietta, Georgia. Now, this is shaping up to be an incredible unit in terms of special teams in this upcoming class.
Yeah, I think when you look at it, Gary, I do. I think this young man, Thomas Fletcher, is the best in the country. When you're talking about a long snapper, talking to several of the top talent evaluators and the guys who work and evaluate these guys who are outstanding specialty players, they tell me that this guy is really fantastic. And, you know, Cole Mazza was one of the best in the country when he came out 4 years ago, and some people think he's better than Mazza was. So he's an outstanding talent. Ruiz is also an outstanding talent, a guy that, you know, is a place kicker. Gary last year kicked, it was 12 of 16 on field goals, and he also had a 76-yarder, you know, that caught a lot of hoopla on the internet. With, of course, it was in practice, but the guy obviously has a very strong arm. Here you go. got it queued up. Brandon got it queued up for us. I mean, that's a strong leg right there. You remember last year everybody talking about Eddie Pinheiro that was committed to Alabama that ended up signing with Florida? This guy's got just as strong a leg as Pinheiro.
Again, on the long snapper situation, it's a position you never notice until there's a bad snap. So hopefully you never notice it.
Yeah, and some late breaking news on that too, Gary. You know, Mitchell Watson is now going to Georgia.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he has changed his mind and is headed over there. He had a connection with Kirby Smart, so he's headed to Georgia now.
Yeah, a little bit closer to home for him. Thanks for that update, Rodney. Well, still to come on Tighter Insider Television, Rhett Nobasahan's shot at making an NBA roster starts with the Las Vegas Summer League. We'll have the details on 2 former Crimson Tide guards. Plus, I sat down with coaching legend C.M. Newton recently. Stay tuned to hear from what the great coach and basketball great had to say about working alongside some of the biggest name coaches in the history of sports. And we'll be welcoming your phone calls, emails, and tweets. You see the information on the screen. So interact with Tighter Insider TV by giving us a call at 205-348-WVUA. That's 205-348-9882. Or you can email us at TITV@WVUA23.com. Or you can reach out to us on Twitter using the hashtag TITV. We'll be back after this. Last week's NBA draft came and went, and Rhett Nobasahan never heard his name called, but the former Alabama co-captain did find a home, at least for now. He signed to play in the Las Vegas Summer League for the Sacramento Kings. Also played in the Summer League will be his former teammate, Levi Randolph. Randolph will get a shot this year with the Memphis Grizzlies. The Summer League play starts on July the 8th. Good showings there by those 2 young men could give them a spot in an NBA training camp come the fall. Well, welcome back to TITV. You know, C.M. Newton was a 6-time SEC Men's Basketball Coach of the Year, Rodney. One of the best, and certainly one of the best that Alabama ever had. He was an assistant coach for the United States Men's National Team. He once headed up USA Basketball and put together the original Dream Team, and he's a true legend in the sport. Recently, I sat down with the coach to talk about his legendary life and career. Let's just start with the iconic coaches that you were associated with early in your career that not many people can say. They played for Coach Rupp, later came back to work with him for a little bit, and then worked for Coach Bryant. I mean, those are 2 of the biggest names in the history of college coaching, and you had relationships with both.
Well, they are, and they are both men that I admire greatly. Coach Rupp was a different breed of cat altogether, and Coach Bryant was a different breed altogether, and it was just a great experience working for both of them.
Of course,
working with them and playing for them.
Is it true that you took a pay cut to come to Alabama from Transylvania?
Yeah, only you would know that, Gary, but I did take a $3,000 pay cut to.
And that was a lot of money in those days.
It was a lot of money in those days and time. I didn't tell my wife at the time, Evelyn, what was going on. I just decided to take over the managing of checks and so forth and so on.
You didn't want her to know.
I didn't want her to know.
We said that was a lot of money back then, Rodney. We'll have that complete interview, a 30-minute special, my sit-down with C.M. Newton. It'll be on July 4th. You can catch it that night, next Monday at 5, 6, and 10. And, you know, Coach Newton's such a gentleman, has had some health issues, and, you know, is in his mid-80s now. But I tell you what, mentally was still sharp, and there's some great stories that he talked about, Rodney, that we're going to have in that interview.
Yeah, I'll never forget that 75, 76 when they played Indiana. And had it not been Indiana being that great of a team, the last undefeated team that went 31-0, Alabama might have won a national championship.
What a matchup in that game. Well, Alabama, Indiana had Benson, Abernathy, Scott May, Wilkerson, and Buckner. Alabama had Douglas, Brown, King, T.R. Dunn, and Anthony Murray, and the Tide went toe-to-toe, 74-69. Bobby Knight came in the locker room after the game.
Yeah.
He said, "You'll be the best team that we played Indiana went 31-0. All right, make sure and stay tuned for that special coming up July the 4th. Well, stay with us on TITV. New Alabama baseball coach Greg Goff is piecing together his staff. We'll let you know who's coming along with Goff to Tuscaloosa. And next, we'll be welcoming your phone calls, emails, and tweets. Phone lines are wide open right now. I know it's summertime and the living is easy, but give us a call. If you want to get through in the program, you can do so at 205-348-WVUA. That's 348-9882. Or you can email us, TITV@WVUA23.com, or reach us on Twitter using the hashtag TITV. Let's get some phone calls in here. I know you got some questions for Rodney. Summertime football thoughts. Let's have them next here on TITV. We'll be back after this. Greg Goff was introduced to the Crimson Tide family on June the 17th. He's already working hard to get together a baseball coaching staff. The athletic department announcing today that he'll bring his hitting coach from Louisiana Tech along. Jake Wells was his hitting coach at Tech, but he'll be the recruiting coordinator and work with the catchers at Alabama. Wells is a former player of Goff's at nearby Montevallo. Goff also has reportedly hired Tulane's associate head coach Sean Allen, who is an outstanding coach, to serve in the same capacity in Tuscaloosa. He is going to work with the Tide's hitters, and I tell you what, Goff has a lot of charisma. You know, I was off when he had his introductory press conference. He had a nice little message for me that was put out on Facebook, by the way. But
wondering where you were.
Yeah,
right?
but I tell you what, we're going to get him on the program, and I'm excited about his enthusiasm. Of course, you got to have a good coaching style for Rodney, and it looks like he's off to a really good start.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of good things about Coach Allen, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, time to take some phone calls, and people responded when I asked them to call in, and they have. Phones are lit up. Let's go to Moundville and talk to Jonathan. Jonathan, you're first up tonight with myself and Rodney Orr on TITV. How are you?
Doing good. How y'all doing tonight?
Very well. What you got, fella?
I was wondering, how y'all think the men's basketball team's going to be this year?
Well, I think they're going to be improved. And, they were pretty good last year. When you consider the expectations, Rodney, were really, really low. With 4 or 5 games to go in the season, Alabama looked like it was going to be in line to make the NCAA tournament. Didn't finish the way they would have hoped. But I think that they're going to be better. They lose Obasahan. There's no doubt that's a big loss. But they're bringing in a transfer, Corbin Collins, who's got a chance to kind of take over that role. He signed a couple of really good players in Armand Davis and Braxton Key. Have a guy sitting out and Nick King, plus a lot of guys returning. I think this could be a very competitive team, a team that, again, could be in the mix to make it to the NCAA tournament.
I think he's starting to get the kind of players, he's building the kind of roster that he wants. And you saw last year, Gary, they were competitive in every game that they played, really, except against Kentucky. But they did an outstanding job in all those other games, and they were really outmanned. I think that's a good sign. When you look at how competitive they were in spite of being outmanned, I think it's a really good indication of where this program's headed.
And another year under Avery Johnson and his coaching staff, it's early. But right now, my feeling is, just looking at the roster, looking at the parts that he's kind of placed in here, I think they're going to make it to the NCAA tournament. Now, I'll talk more basketball as we get closer, but that's my feeling right now early. I think they could get into the tournament. All right, let's stay here in T-Town and talk to our good buddy BT. Bill, what's up, my friend?
What's up, Gary Harris and Rodney?
All right, bro. What you got for us tonight?
Hey, Rodney and Gary, I want to ask that you think there's a possible chance that Bo could run the Wildcat offense back there?
Well, BT, with Lane Kiffin, there's a chance anything could happen back there. Kiffin is all about finding ways to move the football. There are some questions clearly at quarterback. Wildcat a possibility in some games, you think?
Well, I really don't know. It depends, That thing just really hasn't been utilized as much recently. But I tell you this, you never know who the quarterback's going to be. And I'm certainly not making a prediction, but if you do have a guy back there like a Jalen Hurts, he's a guy, Gary, that could really bring a lot of excitement with his ability to run the football. And I want to be clear that he is an outstanding passer. But, a guy like that certainly brings a lot of athleticism.
You got a hunch. I'm not going to say you. I'm just saying you got a hunch that Hurts might play.
Well, he may. He certainly could. I think he could. Now, there's a lot of people that don't believe Nick Saban would play a true freshman quarterback, but I think there's a chance he could play. Now, I'm on the record, and I've been saying this before spring practice, that somebody's going to have to beat Cooper Bateman out, and he's done a really outstanding job of managing the offense through spring practice and, heading into fall camp. So we'll see.
All right, let's keep it right here in Tuscaloosa and talk to Jerry. Jerry, what's up, buddy?
I just want to tell you happy birthday, Gary.
Well, thank you, my friend. I appreciate that so much. Thanks a lot, Jerry, for the birthday wishes. Yesterday I was 32, Rod.
Okay.
Add about 20 onto that. All right, let's take an email right now. And speaking of Jalen Hurts, Don Juan in Northport wants to know if he'll be used as a red zone quarterback. You kind of already alluded that you think that is a possibility depending on what happens in fall camp.
Yeah, it could be, and I think that's a really good idea. The question is, putting a young guy with inexperience in down there when you're going in to score touchdowns is, could be risky, but we'll see. I think he's really an outstanding talent. I think from the standpoint of, he played for his father in high school, Gary. He's a really smart kid. It's going to be interesting to see if Jalen Hurts gets on the field this year.
All of these quarterbacks go into fall camp believing they have a chance to play. It's going to be a lot of fun watching this sort itself out as we get ready for the season opener against Southern California in Arlington, Texas on September the 3rd. Well, you know what? Phone lines are open for our next segment, so call in. Also, it didn't take long for a recent Crimson Tide graduate to get his first professional golf victory. We'll have details on Tom Lovelady's quick success. But as we said, more phone calls are needed. The phone lines are open at 205-348-9882 if you want to get through and be a part of the program. You can also email us at the address on your screen, or Brandon and Katarina are both watching Twitter. Just use the hashtag TITV. If you got a question or comment, you can send it to us there. We'll be right back with the only show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide, Tider Insider Television. We'll return right after this timeout. Well, just a short time ago, the Tom Lovelady was competing for the Crimson Tide men's golf team just a few weeks ago. But now he's already winning money on the Emerald Coast Golf Tour. He's a professional in his second event. He won the Andalusia Golf Tournament. Congratulations, Tom Lovelady. He took home $6,000 for the victory. Of course, the Emerald Coast, a minor league tour. He'll hope to move up and one day be on the PGA Tour, where there are already so many former Alabama golfers that have played for Jay Sewell that are competing at the highest level. Congratulations again to Tom Lovelady. All right, we have phone lines open at 205-348-WVUA. But right now, let's go talk to Charles over in Gadsden. Good evening, Charles. How are you?
I'm good, Gary. How about you?
Very well, sir.
I wanted to ask about the offense. I think that's where all our questions are this year. Everything starts with the line. Y'all think we're going to have a good old line this time?
Yeah, I think they will. Like Mario Cristobal. Of course, they brought in Brent Key to handle the interior line. And got a lot of players to work with, Rod. Lost some guys, but got a lot of talent.
Yeah. They do. They made some changes in the spring, made some adjustments. I think, Cam Robinson obviously didn't play in the spring, but, he's probably the best left offensive tackle in the country. Some question marks at left guard maybe. We'll see what happens there. Lester Cotton, the sophomore from here in Tuscaloosa, ended up spring practice as the starter at that position for now. And at center, Ross Pierschbaker, who started 15 games last year as a redshirt freshman at left guard, now at center and did an outstanding job. And then at right guard, Shank Taylor and Brandon Kennedy. Brandon Kennedy, a redshirt freshman. Of course, Shank started all 15 games last year, Gary, in the national championship year. But those two guys still battling it out at right guard. And then at right tackle, we may have a true freshman, Jonah Williams, that starts. I know he's a fantastic talent. He's a guy with a lot of potential. That's how it ended up in the spring. Now, what happens in fall camp, I'm sure we'll see a little bit of experimentation maybe, make sure they get the 5 best guys in the right spots. But that's how it ended up in the spring. And I think they have a chance to really have a good offensive line. But, offensive line play, Gary, is a lot about unity, cohesiveness, and all of those things. So it may take them a little while to get going.
5 fingers working like a glove.
That's right.
You know what they say? Hey, we got a lot of folks that watch us over there in the Northeast Alabama area in Anniston, Gadsden. Let's stay in Gadsden. Talk with Jerry. You're next up on TITV. Hello, Jerry. Jerry, you with us? All right, Jerry seems to have dropped off, but he wanted to know what the latest number of commitments is for the 2017 class.
14, I guess. It's somewhere in there. I haven't checked.
On their way to another top 2 or 3 class at this point.
Oh, yeah.
It's going,
yeah, definitely.
If not number 1.
Definitely. And right now, again, you talk about numbers of commitments, and I think it's really, I wouldn't get hung up on the numbers.
It could change still.
Because it could change so dramatically. They're in about the 14, 15 range. But, it could always change.
All right, let's go just down the road to Cottondale. Talk with Gerald. Welcome in, Gerald. You're on TITV.
Hey, how you guys doing tonight?
All right, Gerald.
Well, listen, I know I saw you out at the Saints. You may be telling Rodney about it now. But I don't know if you think they're going to keep any Alabama coaches, the baseball coaches.
Well, Gerald, I don't know. My feeling is, based on what I've seen so far, David Kindred's the baseball operations director. I don't know what his status is. It looks like Coach Goff, as most coaches are apt to do, wants to bring in his own coaching staff. There could be some support people that stay on the staff. I don't know. I think for the most part, though, it's going to be a whole new look for Alabama baseball next year.
Sure seems that way, and I haven't heard of anything any different.
Andy Phillips and Dax Norris both on that staff with Mitch Gaspard, as I mentioned, David Kindred. But, they'll certainly move on and find jobs. They're good baseball coaches. It's just part of the business. Coaches get hired, and then they resign or get fired and move on to somewhere else. All right, thanks for the phone calls. We are going to take a timeout here on the program, but still to come, Derrick Henry is moving in with some former Heisman Trophy winners. Heisman House. Maybe that's a reality show. Maybe I could produce it, make a lot of money. That's coming up next on the only show that takes you inside the Crimson Tide, Tider Insider TV, the Heisman House. I like the sound of that. It'll return right after this break. This is fun. Derrick Henry will join the likes of Mark Ingram, Eddie George, Charles Woodson, and Marcus Mariota, his Titans teammate, in the Nissan Heisman House. Now, this is a commercial you've seen which features former Heisman winners hanging out in a plush mansion. Henry, the newest member of the Heisman Club, will be featured in the newest Heisman House. Commercial, here's the old ball coach, Steve Spurrier. Herschel, George Rogers, Mariota again. How about that, Rod? I tell you, you went to Heisman. Eddie George. Staubach in there. It's a pretty exclusive fraternity.
Definitely is. I did not see Doug Flutie. Did you?
Didn't see him in that one. You might see him pop up, but I tell you what, Henry hopes to be an all-pro too, and here he's off to a good start with the Titans. Well, that's going to do it for the program for tonight. But before we get out of here, again, our beautiful shirts and ties provided by the Locker Room in downtown Tuscaloosa, home of the original Elephant Wear. You can visit them downtown or shop online for great original Elephant Wear and other brand name men's clothing and women's clothing. Alex and Rush and the entire staff are outstanding. They'll be happy to see you. But if you can't make it in, as I said, just go online and get you some original Elephant Wear like we're wearing tonight. And don't forget, if you missed any of tonight's show, you can catch the replay tonight at 10:30. Also on our website, WVUA23.com. I want to thank Brandon Cameraman for sitting in for me with you last week. Got good reviews.
You did a good job.
I better not miss too many shows. That's going to do it for the program. Have a good night, everybody. Talk to you next week.